When most people think about inflammation, they just think about like swollen joints. But what if I told you that your home, your air quality, even your phone could be triggering off the inflammation, causing disease and aging and just overall discomfort in the body? So, today we're going to talk about inflammation and the different ways that inflammation shows up in our body and different factors that cause that inflammation to show up. So, firstly, what is inflammation? Inflammation is actually like a natural protective process when we have some sort of injury in the body. It's a way that the body protects itself so that it can heal effectively. But as that inflammation can become chronic in the body, meaning it's lasting for a long time, it can have long term health effects that we don't have showing up in the form of disease and different chronic conditions that we don't want to experience. So, yes. So, with inflammation is linked to so many different diseases, whether we're talking about memory, um, like Alzheimer's, whether we're talking about certain eye issues in terms of decreased vision and glaucoma, issues around different endocrine glands like your thyroid and pancreas, kidneys, reproductive health. Excuse me, grab some water. Reproductive health, reproductive disease, heart disease, high blood pressure, lung issues, emphysema, digestive issues in terms of irritable bowel disease, you name it, diabetes, all sorts of things can be related to chronic inflammation in the body. So, in our environment, we have the air that we breathe. And unless you're just out in the country where you're living, where there's just fresh air all the time, trees and nature, you're probably going to be in some city environment where there's a lot of concrete, there are electric lines everywhere, um, the trees are boxed off and just have like concrete around them, and then on the trees the animals moving their bowels and urinating on them all day all night. And so the air quality is terrible. And so with that poor air quality, we're breathing that toxic air, that dust in the air, the dirt in the air, the exhaust from car smoke, from brake dust, all of the different particulate matter that is in the air is going into our lungs, and that's going to get lodged into our lungs, and over time can lead to chronic inflammation in the lungs. And so with some folks, they have to like sit up where they're like propping up while they're sleeping, where they can't even lay flat on their back because of the mucus buildup in the lungs and the difficulty breathing. With that, that can also weaken the lungs, where when it's cold weather or hot weather, it can cause the lungs to be congested and cause difficulty breathing and show up like asthma in terms of Western medicine conditions and other chronic health conditions in that way. That lung congestion is also going to cause oxygen to not get into our bodies as well as it could, which is then going to affect um, all of our organs in our body, because oxygen is one of those things that our body needs for vital function. We know if we stop breathing for a couple minutes, that's like brain death. And so slowly our organs and different tissues in the body are aging and dying faster than they're supposed to in a natural life cycle, just because of the toxins that are in our lungs. And so we want to do some things like some deep breathing, to help to detoxify the lungs, go into nature, parks, and all to help to get that fresh air, detoxify the lungs. Certain herbs that you can take, like your astragalus, peppermint, things that are also, going to aerate the lungs and help to open up the lungs. All of your green vegetables, in terms of your greens, your kale, collard greens, spinach, cabbage, all of your different greens are also going to help to support the lungs in your house. In terms of like you can have your house plants, are going to also naturally help to cleanse the air and pump more oxygen into into the air. We have that symbiotic relationship with plants and trees in nature where we exhale the carbon dioxide and the plants use that for their vital function. And the plants exhale oxygen, which we take in for our vital function. And so it's great to always have a bunch of house plants which are going to help to clean the air, freshen the air, bring also a strong vibration to the air in your home. You can also get a diffuser where you're diffusing essential oils into the air in your home. And so, yeah, those are some great things that you can do. We also have all of the household toxins, the different cleaning products. Most of those are chemical, and those chemicals are getting into the air where after you clean, it may smell fresh, but that fresh smell is unnatural. And that can also get into our lungs, and anything that goes into our lungs is going to go into our bloodstream. And as the toxins build up in the bloodstream, the body is going to work to detox it. And over time can overload the liver, that can overload the kidneys. And so that's going to lead to other effects. Um, in Eastern medicine, when we look at the liver is responsible for the smooth flow of your body's chi and blood. So when the liver energy is stagnant, that's going to cause our bodies to feel stagnant. It's going to cause us to feel tight. It can make us be more subject to feeling angry more easily. And that liver energy can also overact and affect all of the organs in the body and cause that energy not to flow as well. So that liver energy can stagnate in women, um, and cause like menstrual cramps, breast tenderness, all of the signs around PMS, and any sort of dysfunctions around their menstrual health. With the lungs, that can overact on the lungs and weaken the lungs with the shortness of breath, that can overact on the heart and cause like heart palpitations. The heart also in Eastern medicine is related to our sleep and our sleeping patterns. And so different toxins can have these side effects on the body. In that way, it can overload the liver, which then affects our liver's ability to detox the blood, which is going to cause toxins to build up in our body and cause chronic inflammation in the body. Can overact on the kidneys. In Eastern medicine, the kidneys are like that battery pack in your body. The kidneys also in Eastern medicine rule your sexual function. So different dysfunctions around for men not being able to get it up, for women not being able to get fully aroused in that way. With reproductive health, now we're also talking about reproduction, where folks are working to have children. With reproductive health, we're also talking about our different sex hormones, the testosterone and estrogen and progesterone. All of these things can also be disrupted by different chemicals in the environment. And all of that can also cause chronic inflammation. We know when we're dealing with our hormones, we're dealing with the endocrine glands like the thyroid, which is going to possibly affect heart function, affect your metabolism, cause either weight gain or weight loss. People can become more sensitive to hot, where Women, especially in like menopause and going through those stages of life, can get hot easily, hot flashes, night sweats. Some people can be more sensitive to cold weather where they get really frigid, cold hands and feet. And some of these are related to just the natural effects of aging, but we don't have to experience that in this way. And some of this, and a lot of it, is due in modern times to the toxins in our body and how those toxins build up and cause inflammation. And when we think of inflammation, inflammation is inflamed, the word flamed, which is like hot, and heat is swelling. And when different joints are swollen, when our tissues are swollen, organs are inflamed, your chi, your body's vital energy and blood aren't able to get into that area. So it's almost like a gate, stopping the flow of healing to get to that area. And so we want to constantly be working on um, things that are going to detoxify our bodies and have like anti-inflammatory properties on the body. Some of the main things that's going to do that are like mental relaxation, having a meditation process and program that you have, and a meditation in terms of just sitting and just focusing on your breath, working to still your mind. Before you start your day, taking a few minutes to deep breathe. In that deep breathing, if your mind is, if you're finding it difficult to relax your mind with that, you may want to give yourself some positive affirmations to stop the things that you don't want to think about, and affirm and intentionally think about the things that you do want to bring in to your life, and the same things that you can do, that same process that you do in the morning when you get up, you can also do at night before you go to bed. It's also going to be in your water intake. How much water are you drinking? Fresh water. You should be drinking about half of your body weight in fluid ounces. So if you weigh 180 pounds, half of that is 90. So you should be drinking about 90 fluid ounces, which is about 3 liters or about 3 quarts of water throughout the day. And that could be within your juices, that's going to be in your soups, even in like your fruits and vegetables are 90% water. A lot of your fruits, like a banana, is like 90% water, even though it's solid. Watermelon, as we get to the summer, we're still in the spring, so you might not want to do the watermelon yet. But in this season of the year, your berries are in season, your strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, a lot of other fruits are in season. You can simply get those from the farmer's market. If you're interested in getting a whole list of foods that are in season, I suggest you Google it, or you can send me a private message and I can get that to you also. In terms of other things with anti inflammation, I have a 10-day anti inflammation program. If you're interested in that, you can give me a call at 888 or you can just send me a private message and we can set up a consultation around that, of getting you on the 10-day anti-inflammatory programs. Most people, when they're on that 10-day anti-inflammatory program, you can eat the whole time. There's different supplements and things that you're taking. Is pretty simple, actually. And most folks, with the nutritional supplements, the shakes, and just eating and cutting out those inflammatory foods, are losing 8 to 10 pounds within those first 10 days, and then ready to keep going on with the process, are able to sleep better, able to start seeing where they're slimming down, their stomach is getting flatter, their bowels are regulating more. You have people who may be going to the bathroom um, a couple times a week, in 7 days. Some people may use the bathroom may move their bowels, that is, 3 times a week. Where by the end of that 10 days, many people are just from um, eating the proper amount of fruits and vegetables, the shakes, and other lifestyle changes, are moving their bowels every day, even sometimes once or twice a day. And with that, they're starting to see where that deep amount of excess waste material that's built up in the intestines begins to get flushed out. So, we're not going to stay on here too long today. Um, let's see if we have any questions in here. So on Instagram, T Smith DHC, if you're still here, would you consider scented candles toxic? Most likely they are, especially if you're getting commercial candles. They're usually going to be, they're mass produced and they don't really care about folks' health. The best thing you can do if you're getting a scented candle is to get like a handmade candle at at a market where you can speak directly to the person that is making the candle, and they can tell you their process. And if they're hand making it, they're probably scenting it with some natural essential oils. So yeah, I would stay away from most scented candles on the market unless they totally market themselves as being all natural. I would definitely stay away from the scented candles. A lot of people have allergies to those candles. Breathing in that toxic smoke, which builds up in the air, can set off asthma and shortness of breath. Different allergies in Eastern medicine, the lungs rule the skin, so different issues may pop up in terms of dry skin, eczema, psoriasis, pimples, rash, all sorts of things. Even if it's very subtle, it doesn't have to be a full breakout. But people, you may be like, yo, what's going on with my skin? Or what's going on with other parts, digestion or whatever. And it could actually be from an allergic reaction to the smoke from the candles that are in the air. You are quite welcome. Thank you for the question. You know, so just a little bit more in terms of with your foods and all that we consume. Also, we want to make sure that we're working to stay away from the pesticides, from the herbicides, from all of the food additives, whether you're talking about the artificial colors, the artificial flavors, the preservatives. All of these things go in and can disrupt the body because it's not natural, and the body is not meant to digest these things. And so over time, the body, whatever is not eliminated from the body in terms of when we urinate and when we move our bowels, a lot of times it's going to store up in the fat in our bodies. And so now we have this autotoxicity where we're constantly being exposed to the toxins that's stored up in the fat. And for a lot of people, as they get older, they're gaining weight and getting quote unquote fatter. And so some of these chronic inflammatory conditions that are going on in the body can also be from the wide range of toxins in the air, in the food, in the water, in cleaning chemicals and things that we put on our skin, um, that's absorbing into the body and is absorbed and um, storing in the fat. And so as people detox their body and do different anti-inflammatory processes, um, the fat will begin to melt away, and you'll eliminate it through the skin with sweating, through breathing. You'll urinate it out, um, and you'll move your bowels when you go out. So, with your natural foods, with some of the like I said, inbox me if you're interested in some of the 10-day programs. It can make some of these chemicals, as we're going through the process, it can help to detoxify some of the chemicals that are stored up in the fat by making these chemicals more water soluble and be able to be actually flushed out of the body, as opposed to just being stored in the body and overloading the liver and the kidneys. You can also get we talk about in terms of cleaning the air in your home, you can get a HEPA filter with foods. When we were talking just now, talking about the preservatives and the colors and the artificial flavors and all, you just want to stay away from that. As we get older, you can't even have these things, not even in moderation, because most people have used it up. You've used up your moderation throughout your childhood, throughout your young adulthood, and now at 40, 50, 60, excuse me. Now at 40, 50, 60, the body doesn't respond in the way that it did 20, 30, 40 years ago. And so you can't even put these things in your body, because it's going to be more difficult to bounce back from the effect. And you're also dealing with 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years of the buildup of this in your body. If you grew up eating junk, food from the corner store, cheese doodles, Kool-Aid, candies, cookies, cakes, quarter water, 50-cent sodas, um, you name it. When I was young, remember the pistachios when we were younger, used to have the red dye on the shell. I don't even know why they do that. Why they put that red dye on the shell? We're dealing with all of these things. Blow pops, you name it. All of this stuff, blue raspberry, ices, and I'm just thinking stuff I used to consume. And so now, I don't deal with any of that anymore. And I suggest that you don't do the same. And if you need some help with some guidance around transition into a diet that's going to support that anti inflammatory process, again, you can send me a private message. And here, whether you're on Instagram or if you're on YouTube, you can call again 888 375 5444. Also, on my website, manifestherbs.com, I have some detox. I have a detox tea, which is excellent for detoxifying the liver and the kidneys and the intestines. And it's something that you can just drink as a tea and have that part of your everyday lifestyle, and it works as part of a larger program too, again, of living a natural lifestyle. And yeah, so I am here for you. Does anyone else have any other questions? If not, we are going to get out of here. It is late. I am still at the office. I'm in New York. And so you can see what time it is. It is after midnight. But just wanted to hop on for a few minutes and talk about the effects of, our environment, and the necessity to be a priest or a priestess of yourself and of your health. And making the right decisions. The things that you've been hearing about over the years that you know is bad for you can't do it anymore. You want to make sure you're drinking your water, eating a whole food diet that's not having any preservatives and all of that. All right, let's see. See, we have another question here on Instagram. T Smith THC says, I have owned an air purifier for 2 years with a filter living in Nevada, Vegas. It has worked wonders. I can imagine all of that dust in the air and the sand and all of that. You probably need a humidifier too. The HEPA filter, yeah, excellent. That's going to get, a lot of things out the air. You want to make sure that you're changing your filter, whether, I don't know, for that, if you have to buy a new filter or you can rinse it out and things, but you definitely want to, if you haven't changed that filter, go ahead in the back of that and open it up, and you'll see all of that fuzz and dust and dirt that came out the air. I know when I was younger, I used to get really bad seasonal allergies. And as I I had like a little filter, a little HEPA filter right next to my bed, like right on the side table there, and I would sleep with that on low. And I definitely noticed the how much my allergies decreased just from it pulling the dust and pollen or whatever out the air in my bedroom when I was younger. So yeah, all of that is so necessary to have the HEPA filter. So with that, any other questions? If not, again, I am Dr. Bashar Wilson. I'm a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, pain relief specialist, helping folks with your swollen joints and different health issues that deal with like inflammation. And also, like I said, if you have any questions or comments or whatever, I'd like to set up a consultation just to discuss your health goals and how we can, set you up with a personalized program to help you to detox and cleanse and get that inflammation out of your system to get help rid you of like chronic health conditions and also support the anti-aging process. Send me a direct message, or again, you can call me at 888 375 5444. 888 375 5444. And on that, I am going to say peace, and I will see you all next time. We out.